So when you take a course on a framework, and it's not just Laravel, it can be any other framework, React or Vue or whichever, you're kind of faced with a choice. Do you go for the latest version where you get the most up-to-date knowledge but risk some bugs which you have to figure out yourself, or you go for an older version that's demonstrated by the instructor, but that version might not be so up-to-date and some of the features are deprecated? So which one should you choose? Hi, my name is Peter. I'm a professional web developer and been one for a little over a year now. And in this video series, I'm reviewing the Udemy courses that helped me land money-making gigs in only 6 months into my web development journey. So what makes my reviews special? Unlike the creators of other reviews, I'm not an affiliate marketer. This is not a side income source for me. I've actually taken these courses, and the stuff I know about these subjects mostly come from these Udemy courses. So today I will be reviewing the Master Laravel PHP for Beginners and Intermediate. It was created by Piotr Jura. Looking back at my past reviews, I realized that I'm not strictly sticking to the subject and reviewing a particular course, but also sharing insights in general about learning web development on Udemy. So I will be sharing some more insights in this video as well, so make sure you watch the whole thing. So you might wonder, PHP, right? So I'm aware that PHP is not as popular as, for example, Python right now, but you need to know that PHP is still very much present on the net. Just think about WordPress. WordPress accounts for about 35% of the internet, and it has about almost 500 million installations. Then outside WordPress, there are other CMS systems like Drupal or Joomla. Then you've got the e-commerce system, Magento. They all use PHP. Also, PHP is readily available at most retail hosting service providers. So if you're ever looking to work with the small and medium enterprise world or universe, you definitely need PHP. Now, how did I come across PHP and Laravel? If you watched one of my past reviews on the full web development course, you've probably seen that I've done a little bit of PHP. I've done 2, maybe 3 projects, like the online notes app, then the car sharing app. So I did have a little bit of a PHP background, but what mostly pushed me was a good long-term client of mine gave me the opportunity to get familiar with their backend and do little bits and pieces of jobs there. So I was happy to jump on the opportunity. My goal was always full stack. I'm not comfortable being just front end only. I know there are a lot of front end developers who all they do is just front end, and they're completely happy with that, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But me personally, I don't feel fulfilled just doing front end, and I feel like I've got an arm missing. So for me, the opportunity to explore their backend and start working on that as well was absolutely amazing. And so I was very happy to dive into PHP, object-oriented PHP and Laravel. Now, this course is not for beginners, and I've found it very, very challenging. This is not so much because of the course itself, rather the subject and my prior experience. In general, I was a newbie back then when I first took the course. I had a little bit of PHP experience, but just like procedural coding, like, you know, the line by line old style. So no object-oriented experience or no prior framework. Laravel is also very advanced. It has strict naming conventions for things like models, migrations, methods, routes, which if you master will make your life very, very easy. Otherwise, it can create loads of bugs that are very, very hard to debug. So why is that? It's because Laravel is smart and it does a lot of things under the hood without you having to explicitly define it. And honestly, it just takes time to get used to this. So just loads of trial and error. But if you have any backend experience, more PHP experience than I had, or more object-oriented programming experience, or no prior framework before diving into Laravel, you definitely struggle less than I did. One thing for sure, I mean, Piotr does go out of his way to explain these concepts, but Laravel is really complex and you will need to take this course probably more than once. I took this course for the first time November 2019. It took me about a month to complete it, but now I'm doing it again and it's already much clearer now than it was the first time around. Now, why am I doing it again? There are several reasons, one of which is simply just want to understand those concepts that I missed for the first time. You know, practice makes perfect. And another reason is that Laravel has evolved since the time I took the course. It was Laravel 5.8 or maybe 6 was out already, but the course is based on Laravel 5.8, and now Laravel 8 is out, I think, for about a month or two, and I'm just checking out the changes. And this takes me to another talking point. Generally, courses that work with frameworks and dependencies have their own set of challenges. And what are these? Frameworks and libraries, by their nature, they constantly evolve, and there are new versions coming out all the time. So you probably know this versioning convention of 2.3.4 or 5.0.8. Now, most of the breaking changes occur when the first number, the major version, changes, and there's a high chance that by the time you purchase the course, the version that's introduced in the course is different from the one that's installed on your machine by default, and this can lead to problems. For example, in my case, Piotr's course is on Laravel 5.8, and right now Laravel 8 just came out. And for example, there are loads of changes, but one of the major changes is authentication is now not handled by Laravel's own UI package, but by a third-party package. And currently there are no clear and easy to understand instructions how to install it. Now, ideally, instructors re-record the lessons that are affected by these version changes, but usually it takes time. It takes sometimes weeks, sometimes even months. And if you're one of the students who arrives to these lessons and got some sort of version discrepancy between the instructor's version and your version, you are in for some headache. Now, obviously, after some Googling and some research on Stack Overflow, you can kind of figure out why your system is not working and how to make it work with your current version, but it's not ideal, especially not if you're a beginner. So when you take a course on a framework, and it's not just Laravel, it can be any other framework, React or Vue or whichever, you're kind of faced with a choice. Do you go for the latest version where you get the most up-to-date knowledge but risk some bugs which you have to figure out yourself, or you go for an older version that's demonstrated by the instructor, but that version might not be so up-to-date and some of the features are deprecated? So which one should you choose? So I would say it really depends on your experience. If you're a beginner, you should definitely stick to the same version as the instructor uses in his course, because you just don't want to be sidetracked by too many bugs. It will definitely discourage you, and you very likely end up giving up on the whole course, maybe even the framework altogether. If you're more experienced, you are welcome to go with the latest version of the framework. When you're studying, you're not alone anyway. So there are other students, perhaps they run into the same bugs and they ask for help, and someone, either the instructor, their assistant, or other students have posted the correct answer and the way to fix these bugs. If you're one of these experienced students who finds these solutions themselves, just like I do, I always post these just to help others out, because you know there's so much stuff you need to deal with when you're learning a new framework, and any little help you can give other people is definitely greatly appreciated. Now, normally what I do is just go onto my screen and show you the actual project. With the CSS course, the JavaScript course, it was a little bit more exciting because obviously they were front-end projects. Now this is a back-end project. It's a CMS system, so it's less fancy, and also right now, because I'm taking it for the second time, I'm not fully completed. I'm about at 50%, but nevertheless I'm going to go ahead and show you where I'm at, and I'm also going to tell you what other features are going to be built into when the course is fully complete. So let's go ahead. Okay, so we're going to start with our general metrics. This course is rated 4.6. It's got 871 ratings out of 4,500 students. Now this is significantly less than the courses I've previously reviewed, but again, this is not a general course. It's a niche subject, so you can't expect to have as many students as on the popular JS or web development bootcamp kind of courses. It is 30 hours long, and the last update was September 2020, which was probably about the time Laravel 8 came out. Now these updates are not video updates just yet, just kind of notes. So for example, got some notes here what to change where in order to make our current up-to-date installation work with the course content. So here you got one, or there is one for Laravel 7 here. Later on you've got some here. This is regarding the Laravel UI and the authentication. Now the course is going to say that Laravel UI is deprecated and should not be used. However, after some digging, I figured out that Laravel did update their UI and you can actually still use it, so it won't break anything, but basically it's just not recommended, so sooner or later it will be dropped. But for now, if you're just taking the course, you don't need to go with Jetstream. I actually posted here a solution. If you want to use the Laravel UI, you can still use 3.0, and this is how you get Bootstrap working. Again, Bootstrap is not supported anymore by Laravel by default. They support Tailwind, but you can still get course content working if you follow these instructions here. Now this is a fully project-based course. What does it mean? So basically you are building a CMS system right from the start, and you're learning the theory as you go along and as you add features to the project. This is different from how, for example, the web development course or the JS course that I previously reviewed was built, because their theory is introduced first and then everything is put together in projects. Here you only build projects and theory is taught as you go along. So what you'll be building in this project is a basic CMS system with users, with its own markdown editor to create blog posts, to be able to create comments to blog posts, add text to those posts and categorize them based on these tags, image upload facility, user profiles, emailing, and even APIs. So what you practice is advanced CRUD operations with blog posts, comments, tags, then authentication and authorization. If you don't know what difference between the two are, authentication is basically check who the user is, if they are who they say they are, basically logging in and verifying their login details. Authorization is basically checking if a user has a permission to complete an action such as viewing, deleting, editing. Now this CMS system has different access levels, so not everyone can perform any kind of action. So if you're unauthenticated, you can read an excerpt of these blog posts, but for example, you can't open a blog post. For that you need to be authenticated. Let's log in as a admin, and as an admin you can actually read the blog posts and the comments. As an admin you can edit and delete any kind of blog post. If I want to edit this as an admin, let's remove all this. I can do it. Oh, actually it has to be at least 5 characters, so there's also input verification here. put a couple of extra characters here. The blog post has been updated. As you can see, it's updated. I can even delete it if I want it. But if I'm a different user who doesn't have this kind of level of access, just normal user access, I'm not able to perform this action. Let me just log in as someone else. So as just a basic user, I'm only able to create the posts he created, and his name is Dr. Osborne. Did I use him? Yeah, Dr. Osborne, that's the user I use. So obviously Dr. Osborne is able to update his own posts, and there's also sort of back-end and front-end verification. So if he were to, or if somebody were to, let's say this post has an ID of 13, so if Dr. Osborne were to cheat and open edit mode and then change the ID of the post, obviously he would be not authorized to create this action. And apart from this, obviously you learn how to test, how to conduct tests in PHP, to test the functionalities of your apps. You learn how to seed data to the database, to create dummy data to work with, so you don't have to manually create all these blog posts and comments. So in just a couple of seconds, as you can see, I fully recreated my database. So if I go in here and go on comments, you'll see that all these comments, or even it's better to just check here, you will see that all these blog posts were just created, just 21 seconds ago. And later on, obviously tags will be added to these blog posts that you can use to retrieve data, then sending emails, and also creating APIs. That's for the rest of the course. Currently I can see here, currently I'm about halfway through, so there's a lot of things that I still have to go through for the second time, but should be able to finish maybe in a couple of weeks from now, and I'll have a functioning basic CMS system as a result of this course. So to sum up, this is a great course if you're looking to learn Laravel or want to get into the back end and don't really have any system preferences. But this is not a course for beginners. You'll have to have some PHP and object-oriented PHP experience. Currently, the course is a little bit out of date in regards to the latest version of PHP. So if you're taking it now, I would recommend you to install the same version as the course uses, which is 5.8. I'm going to put a link below to show you how to install the same version. Piotr has promised to update the videos to make it relevant for Laravel 8, but this hasn't happened yet. There are some notes he inserted of how to configure and what in order to make it work with Laravel 8, but they're not explanatory enough, so sometimes they're not helpful enough. That's how I found it, at least. So Laravel is very complex. To be prepared to not understand everything for the first time, it's very likely that you have to rewind many of the lessons. It's also possible that you have to take the course twice in order to understand everything. Again, it's not because of how Piotr explains things, it's not because of the course, it's because Laravel is really complex. But again, it is a very capable system, and if you're interested to take this course, the link is down below.